What looks like an ordinary Christmas Eve return home becomes the opening chapter of a missing person case that will spiral into one of the most disturbing investigations Michigan police have ever faced. A simple date, and a timeline that abruptly goes silent.
How do you know this guy? How long have you known him? How long have you known him? How did you meet him?
People wanted to be missing, so he couldn't tell me who.
When you ran out of the house, did he chase you down? Is that what was going on when we pulled? All right.
He didn't do anything to you? He tried to get me to explain.
Asking you a straight up question, my man. Are you looking to press charges from what happened today?
No.
Okay, because here's the thing, is that if we start doing a bunch of investigations and he says, yeah, you know what, man, this guy told me he was into it, and all this, well, hold on, let me just explain this. And we end up doing all kinds of stuff, and you're not willing to do anything about this, then we kind of don't really have a whole lot of any leg to stand on at that point, you know what I mean? Saying that this guy chained him up downstairs and met.
Hello.
Let's come on out.
Sure. What can I help you with?
Well, I think you probably know why we're here, right?
Well, yeah, the goofy guy that I was having decided to take off with my fuel.
Okay. Well, can you put the dog away so we can talk a little bit more about this? Because he's telling us one side of the story. We want to get yours. Just a little bit here.
Sure.
What happened? Start me from the beginning of your day. What happened? You met this guy.
Went over to his place a couple of months ago, and then he contacted me and he said, hey, come on over, and pick me up and I'll come out. I said, well, I got some child that I need help.
Okay.
I said, then, we can play a little bit. And so I picked him up, he came over, all the child, played around a little bit. Next thing I know...
This earlier incident should sound alarms immediately. A man fleeing half-naked, claiming he was chained in a basement, yet no charges are filed. When victims decline to press charges, police often hit a legal dead end. But should this have triggered deeper follow-up?
He left his pile of clothes right here. He took my suit.
He's telling me that you want to let him go. You chained him up?
Well, I got chains and stuff, but
you have
he could have left at any time.
Okay. Did he ask you to leave?
What?
Did he ask you to leave?
No.
He never asked to leave, and you had him chained up in the basement?
Well, he was here today.
Okay.
So, I have chains. Yeah. So I got a sling.
Was this just all like a bunch of role-playing type stuff?
Bingo.
All right.
Exactly.
So you had no intention of keeping him here forever as a slave in your basement?
No.
Okay.
I've got enough going on for something like that. This is just a little bit of fun.
Okay.
He went completely out of control on it. I don't know. You make your own judgment on it.
Well, you understand why we're here, though, right? We got some guy running down the road wearing a kilt. We got some guy running down the road in a kilt saying he was abducted. That's why I'm here.
Abducted is not exactly alarm someone or take some fun, and then, I'm just watching movies.
Safe, please, okay? Do you know what's going on? Do you know why you're in the back of this car?
Yes, I know why I'm back in the back of this car.
Okay, well, I just want to let you know, I got my detective en route. My detective's probably going to want to talk to you, okay? So
that's fine.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to let you know.
And then once I talk to him, how am I going to get back home?
Well, let's get stage one first, okay? Let's get the detective out here.
Absolutely. And then I can explain to him all the things that you guys don't know.
Okay.
And then I can come back home.
Yeah, because we want to know your side of the story. So, how do you pronounce your last name? Latunski?
That's the name that you're going to have me in your system as, yes.
Okay.
Do I look like a black-haired, black-eyed gimp?
What do you mean?
Latunski.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah. The Latunskis are all black-haired, black-eyed gimp.
What's your other name that you go by? You're saying that Latunski's in the system.
Latunski is the name in the system. My name is not Latunski.
What is it?
Edgar Thomas Hill.
Oh, yeah? Middle and last name.
You mean the name you're going to have in your system?
I haven't typed anything in here, so I don't know. Is it just M-A-R-K?
You can type in whatever you want. I don't care.
I just need to know your middle name, too.
The birth certificate that I was handed shows neither my mother nor my father. So, you're going to have a name for someone that I am not. I told you my name is Edgar Thomas Hill. Mark David Latunski is the son of Jack Latunski, and he has black hair and black eyes. Do I look like I have black hair and black eyes?
We went through this before.
I know. But you don't know the facts. And the facts are, how do you turn a black-haired, black-eyed boy who was born a cripple into a blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy who's Norwegian? There is Mark Latunski, and he ain't me. And he never was. You know what a stolen identity is? That is a stolen identity. It allowed my next-door neighbor to shove arsenic into a hole and put it into my well and every well downstream for 2 miles.
What'd you do that for?
Why? You'd have to ask him.
On purpose or accident?
He was a well driller. He did it on purpose. He put one hole under the barn because he was trying to kill the woman who lived here before me. She died. The next day, the neighbors were over here. They'd taken one dog, and they were trying to lure the other one away with a treat. Here's where the roundup comes from. Have a nice day. You don't want to touch anything that touches his cock. Is Mark David Latunski.
Okay.
That is not my legal name.
Oh, it isn't?
No. That is a stolen identity. Mark David Latunski was last, or at least the last record that I have of Mark David Latunski was 1972. What happened to Mark David Latunski? I have no idea.
Okay.
However, all of the people that I grew up with knew that I'm not Mark David Latunski, and they just failed to tell me. However, when I did my ancestry DNA, and I'm not a Latunski, so I did the digging, and when I confronted the people that I was raised with, they said, "Oh, now you know." I said, "Okay, so who's Mark Latunski?" Who knows? Is my name Mark David Latunski? No. My name is Edgar Thomas Hill. I've been trying to get rid of it for a long time because that name is a name of a bunch of people that I have absolutely no relationship to. So the name that I go by is Olycos.
How do you spell it?
Olykaos, and had this trust fund. Now I talk to people and I say, what are the chances that the very person who held the trust in guardianship, who was required to tell me, passes away on the very day that she would have had to have done that?
So when you said come of age, what did you mean come of age?
It was my 12th birthday.
And you said come of age.
This is the turning point. Chains, a pulley system, and a hidden basement room transform a welfare search into a homicide investigation. At this moment, officers know this wasn't impulsive. It was prepared. What protocol should kick in when a scene escalates this fast?
For your culture. So I don't understand.
I'm Norwegian.
Okay, so you're Norwegian.
I'm Norwegian.
So what is, explain to me then what coming of age for Norwegian means. I don't know.
4 multi-generational trust farms that would have been set up, who knows when. Things that I don't control the conditions of any more than my mother controlled the conditions of them, which is why the people in New York, the families in New York that I've been in touch with here and there, all know more details than I do because they know much more. All I know is that I'm sitting here as the only living Thomas of Wales that I've been able to find. And
So you're a Thomas of Wales?
I am a Thomas of Wales, and I reached out to the people in Great Britain to find out if there are any more.
Here, officers aren't just interviewing a suspect. They're navigating delusion, identity confusion, and paranoia. Notice how they stay calm, letting him talk. This isn't kindness, it's strategy. The more he speaks, the more contradictions he creates for prosecutors.
Because as I have looked amongst my blood relatives, I don't think there are any other Thomas of Wales of the Thomas of Wales clan left except for me. I'm not. And you knew it, and I knew it. But having that stolen identity kept me alive when all of the rest of my family is not.
At my son's birthday party, and he came out with all these theories that he wasn't actually his mother's son, he was his mother's brother, and there was a family fortune that he was supposed to get, and there was people watching him. And I tried for 2 years to get him to, he was hospitalized for twice in the stress unit. Had a lot of, he believed people were watching him and all those, but believed that my brother and I poisoned as well. Because my brother's a plumber and he did all of the work on the house for the plumbing. And so, but other than that, he was never a danger to himself or others. At that same time, he admitted to me that he was cheating with men, cheating on me with men. And I found out that he had been, meeting men when he was traveling and after work. And so we did counseling for a year, and that didn't go anywhere. And he was still meeting men, and so I filed for divorce. I said, I'm finished.
Any strange things that they've seen or saw?
No, the only thing they said is there was areas in the house they weren't allowed to go in. There was rooms that they weren't allowed to go in. His bedroom, I think, was one of them, and I don't know if they spent very much time in the basement or not. But they did say there was doors that were locked that they weren't allowed in.
And I was like, why would he do that? It didn't make any sense to me that our neighbor would start contaminating our well. But he said, well, you can't drink it, you can't bathe in it. I'd wake up and he'd be over me saying that I was a gray, green-eyed tribe leader, and that when the world turned upside down, that my people were going to need me to lead them again, and that he was somehow the leader of the North. And I was oozing black toxins. He took me to Dr. Gomez to tell the doctor that I was secreting this toxin when I was sleeping.
And that was all brand new since the end of summer, beginning.
And that was since his being fired in February from his job.
So when you started doing the rub-down of these men, that kind of leads me into, I guess, what is going on with why we're here, just welfare check, you let the troopers go in and graciously search the house, and they see a man that, who is that man?
Well, who And again, when you talk to those, on those sites, you can get any name or no name.
What sites did you meet him on?
Gosh, I think that one was Grindr. Okay. But no matter. We chatted for a while. He described the things that he wanted. I did what I could to bring those things about. And after we sat and made an agreement about what was going to happen, we made the agreement. And he was supposed to disappear, be gone. But you know as well as I do that in our society, although we say, a man can just go, does our society really allow that? No. And what it leaves behind is all kinds of I'm going to say things for his family that a man doesn't want to leave. Now, the things that I set up for him and plan to do for him in that regard would do something for his family that would make it easier. But that agreement between him and I really shouldn't have anything to do with anything but him or I.
So what was the agreement?
We laid together for a while. He asked me to. I did.
I'm sorry, asked you to do what? Just lay with him?
Just lay with him. Just lay with him and hold him. And finally, he says, you know what? I'm ready. And at that point, that was it. Now, the going away part and the portions for his family.
In the basement, when did he come to your house?
I picked him up. We physically met in Swartz Creek. And that was when because he had given me details of what he wanted. And so I said, well, I'll tell you what. I will bring all of the things that you would need so that you can see them. I will lay them out in front of you. I says, then I'll step back. I says, you need to decide. You need to decide because I'm not going to force you.
So you meet him in Swartz Creek?
I met him in Swartz Creek.
On what day?
Well, that would be the 24th. I had chatted with him, so I had a tremendous amount of detail of what he was looking for. Only what he was looking for. And what?
You were trying to help him.
Well, in that regard, I took everything that I had to set it up, and I put it into a bag. I laid it out in the corner so that it was there in the back of the bag. And then I got in the front, and I said, you decide. And at that point, he said, I've made my decision. I said, take and, put on the different gear that he wanted, that he selected. He took his thumb and said, no, not this one, He picked it all out. He wanted to make sure that he was comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what you did with the keys for the car?
The keys were... See, he had the keys at first. He gave them to me.
What's the matter?
I don't know. But in any case, we went back to the house. I mean, I've never done this. I've never done this before.
Okay, so what did you do?
Well, after talking to him in multiple ways, that is when he says, well, I could do it that way, and I couldn't do it. But I said, I don't know if that would be painless. And you know, we debated it, all of the different ways that I said, I have stairs, but it still, it wouldn't work. I was afraid I would hurt it. And so when I went in, you know, and I mean, you obviously have on the picture, there's the spring to the left. And you know, it's like, and he said, done. And, you know, there was a fair amount of I went like to that, and that was, and then of course it was a matter of doing what I needed to do to complete what I told him I would do. Turn him into something that would produce life. And that's what I was in the process of doing. Upstairs in, because I cleaned it off, and it is upstairs in the dresser drawer. I think on the right-hand side.
Like, is it a bedroom? Someone's bedroom or your bedroom?
I mean, yeah.
So it's in your bedroom?
No. I put it up in my bedroom. Just because, I mean, I had, you know, again, knowing at least the bits and pieces of the conversations that we've had over periods of time, and
What does the knife look like?
what's it look like?
Yeah, is it like a kitchen knife? Is it, you know what I'm saying?
No, it's just a hunter's knife.
It's a hunter's knife. What color is it?
It has a black blade. I mean, I actually, you know, it is, it has a black and gray handle. You know what? I'm ready. Where do you want to meet?
Okay.
And I said, you know, hey, it doesn't matter to me. So where do you want to work? Where?
So he arrives in his vehicle. You arrive in your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You have the gray Hyundai van.
Yep.
You have items laid out in the back of the van.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets out and he sees the items. He decides what he's going to put on or what he's going to wear.
He made those decisions. He made all of those decisions of what exactly what pieces of what was there he wanted, and based on, you know, like I said, it was full. There were some things that went back into the bag, and some things that he put on, and some things he says, well, you know what, maybe I'll try those later, but, you know, let's not start with that. I said, look, you need to put these on. I said, I'm not going to force you to put, you know, I'm not going to force you to do anything.
Right.
This is you. And it was then that I started to do what I told him I was going to do. I was going to be part of him. And I did. It was the new moon. And and honoring my word to what I said I would do. That was when it was the discussion, like wherever, whatever is consumable is consumable. So I said, I will, and he said, okay.
Then he admits something even darker.
And I went, I was covered in, not covered, but it's like I had some on me. And I looked at it and it's like I had done what I needed to do, and I could wash this off. No, I'm not going to. And at that point, I went upstairs and I crawled into bed and I just left it.
Did you ever did you ever wash those sheets then after you laid it in it?
No. And when I got up the next morning, because I rested, just lightly. I got up and it was middle of the afternoon when I was supposed to go over and get it on the 25th. And I looked at it and I went, you know what? I'm not. And I left it right on. And I put on what clothing I had. And I went, I'm not going to wash him off.
Where were you planning on putting his... I don't understand. Talking like, where were you going to plant that stuff?
Actually, he wanted me to get the tulip bulbs off to his family somehow. And so one of the things he said was, get them to, because I said, if I have the ability to get his family from the south side of I-69 to the north side, if that comes about, then they're going to be on the north side somewhere. And if they're on the north side, if tulips show up with a bag, here's the tulips, and this is what you put on them.
So where did you read about that? Like, how did you know?
Tulips in particular, like bone meal. And I said, is this something that he says, get some tulip bulbs to my family in that way. They don't need to know what it is. They just need to know that the tulip bulbs arrived.
You assisted him in passing. Did you have clothes on at that time? Or were you naked? Okay.
I was naked.
Okay.
I had no clothes.
So there would be blood on the sheets though, where you could lay down if it came off?
It would be dry. It would be whatever sloughed off. And I looked at it, and again, maybe my thinking of saying, you know what, I'm not going to wash this off. And even when I was talking to someone, I don't feel that I did anything wrong.
Did you tell anybody else about this, other than us?
I know there's some conversations, about the Bacon thing, and of course the victim's name is Kevin Bacon. That would upset me, seeing something like that. Is that how you kind of take it now?
No, not until you mentioned it. I never even put the two together.
Okay.
Did you know the victim's name was Kevin? You had to.
I
talked
knew
about it in the interview.
After the interview, yes. But I didn't even think, like text messages, when you said about the bacon, it's like, and I never put bacon and bacon as. No, we're still legally married, but we're separated. I mean, I got out of there because he was starting to just say a lot of very unusual things that just didn't make sense.
You invited him over for breakfast?
I want to say yes. I mean, yes, that I think it was Christmas Day, but no, it wasn't unusual. I would invite him over. We used to go to the gym and work out. I mean,
even when you were split up?
Correct.
Okay. So then do you think that it possibly that the text message that you received from him about breakfast was in response to you inviting him to breakfast?
I think so. I mean, yes.
Okay.
I think so. And I do remember him sending something about bacon, because, like I said, I lost him at Center Cut, and he knows that.
Okay. And in your best recollection, tell me what you remember about the text message exactly. Like, how did they go, and what was it?
Just that I don't know if I said, I thought you might, I don't know if I invited him over for breakfast, saying, would you like to come over for breakfast? Or I thought you, I can't say verbatim. But I'm quite sure I mentioned something about coming over for breakfast. And then he said, like what you told me, that about the bacon. And yes, I do remember it seemed like there was something said in a text message about bacon and you wouldn't like it. And
did you respond to that?
Not that I remember.
You could have.
I could have. Yes.
Okay. Could have derogatory responded back to it?
I could have, or I could have said, go ahead and bring it anyways, because it's like, it's not a big deal. I can eat other bacon. It's not a big deal to eat some other brand.
Okay, so it seems like then he was suggesting that he was going to bring breakfast, not that he was eating breakfast,
or he would have brought something to cook, like the bacon.
Being at the house, Kevin Bacon, what he never told you what he did to him, nothing.
No, I think this is awful. I think I can't.
What would you have done had you been told or made aware of this prior to?
If I had known what had happened, I would have come to the police. If I had any suspicion at all, this isn't right. He's a sick man. I never thought he would ever be capable of anything like this. I mean, he said weird things to me.
Because part of my culture is that if you have an honorable death, then you have to tell somebody before you pass 3 houses. And so I looked at it, and we've even talked about this, because he gave me the name.
What'd you call him?
I actually never used his name. It was only just before and he looked at it, because he said, wow, you really planned a lot of this. I said, I planned nothing. I said, I planned absolutely nothing. I said, okay, let's say that the police have a problem with it. I said, the police have a problem with it, and then what? They throw me in jail. Or they try to. I said, I guess I'll just have to deal with that.
It sounds honorable. It sounds honorable.
Well, but in order to make it honorable in my culture, I did have to tell someone. And even when I talked to him, he says, just call me Kevin Bacon. And I went, okay, I said, if I say that I killed Kevin Bacon, he says, no one's going to believe you. I said, I could tell anybody, and no one would believe me. Because of my name. I actually texted before I ever did anything, I went up and I texted a friend who was, and I'm going to say, what's the correct word? Understanding of the situation, because he was he's a judge advocate in New York, and I sent him a text and I said, you know what, I did this. I said, and I love him. He's my hero. And
I'm sorry, who's your hero?
I killed Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is my hero. Then we're going to go out back, and I was going to put the peach pits in them, and then the rest of them I have the chestnut that are in the refrigerator, and I had been meaning to plant them before, but really never had anything that to grow them with. I was going to drop the chestnut into a portion of them. There's the pile of mulch out back. I was just gonna cover them with mulch.
You're going to cover the mulch?
No, not the mulch. I was just gonna take the internal and get rid of it, so that they were each growing things. The mulch was going to go into the dehydrator that I purchased after, yesterday, or it's going to be delivered on Monday, because that was, that came out of the discussion. So I didn't have anything, planned for it at that point. And then I was just going to, crush up and then see if, essentially, and take and pair them with tulip bulbs and figure out some way to, just have them appear somewhere. It's like
in memory or
just however it worked. If it's a matter of getting it to happen, so
and putting them also from
the dehydrator.
What else?
Basically, yeah. That's I know a lot of people don't understand that, but it's like I look at it and
we're open to a lot of things,
and I know it is what it is. It's a matter of just making it happen. So
we're going to take a quick break and we'll get right back with you.
Not a cache of bodies around somewhere, if that's what you're asking for.
If you were talking my shoes, that would be a valid question, right?
Exactly.
Do we have to be concerned about that?
There is not. There is not.
And is there one other body, one other person? This was something that Kevin wanted, and you were willing to help him with it.
Yes. And it was an agreement between he and I, and that he was going to get something, and
What was he going to get?
He was going to get things for his family.
But this doesn't answer my question. This was done for Kevin, and he wouldn't.
I said, if this is true, and opening up this trust opens up homes on the north side of I-69, any home that I have, of which I already know that I have 3.
This has nothing to do with Kevin.
It has absolutely everything to do with Kevin. I said, I want to see your family north of I-69. I said, regardless of what home it is, if they're south of I-69, they're on the wrong side.
But him being dead, how does that put them north of 69?
Because if, or should I say, when the trust gets exposed, when the properties come available, then I could make sure, and the family that he has gets moved into one of the homes north of I-69.
That's why you.
That's no. That was one of the things that I just flat out said. I will do this. I understand that he. At that point, I understood that he was already not only. So it was a way of one, and in the discussion, he helps me save my family.
This case shows how overlooked warning signs, untreated mental illness, and legal hesitation can converge with devastating results. If you found this breakdown as intense as we did, hit like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more real-life body cam breakdowns.